Can we preview a position in 5 minutes? Heck yes, we can. Let's talk quarterbacks right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Let's get right to it. I'm Adam Aizer with Jamie Eisenberg. Make sure you're following this podcast, telling your friends, helping us grow. Leave us a nice 5-star review with a question as well. Jamie, give me your quarterback approach. Where do you usually, what tier, what range do you usually draft your quarterbacks in?
I tend to wait to probably the third tier of guys, which is, the Ryan Tannehills, Tom Brady. I like Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, in some cases, Joe Burrow. Those are the quarterbacks I tend to gravitate the most toward. But if I do see a good value pick on, Mahomes at the end of the third round, the group of Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, if it's after round 5, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, the next group after that, so I'm never going to pass up good value, but I tend to live in that Brady, Stafford, Hurts, Tannehill range.
In previous years, and I've always asked you guys, how many quarterbacks are you comfortable with as your starting quarterback in week 1? I think in previous years, that answer's been maybe somewhere around 20, but it's not anymore. It's 14 or so. We won't get into that. That's on the full-length show. Check it out. Of those top 13 or 14 that you're comfortable with, are there any that you just aren't feeling it? I'm not going to say they're a bust, but you just don't take them.
I don't take a lot of Aaron Rodgers. I'm always nervous of the number one quarterback repeating anything close to that. We saw it last year with Lamar Jackson and his struggles where he was 10th. We saw it with Mahomes because of injury. The year before that, he struggled. So I think there's something maybe cursed about the number one quarterback, but Rodgers is somebody I tend to avoid. I avoid Justin Herbert, not because I don't like him. I just don't take him in the range that he typically goes. So those two are two quarterbacks that I don't have a lot of stock in. But for the most part, though, I tend to, take the other quarterbacks in the mocks that we've done. I'm excited to see how the drafts are going to unfold when they're the actual drafts that we typically play in.
You have Lamar Jackson as your QB2. How come?
I just think his ceiling is higher than anybody but Mahomes. And you can make a case his ceiling is higher than Mahomes because we saw it in his record-breaking season in 2019. I love his rushing ability. Obviously, that goes without saying. I like the offseason, what they put together with their receiving core, adding Sammy Watkins, but more importantly, Rashad Bateman. I hope Marquise Brown is healthy with this hamstring injury. So with Mark Andrews thrown into that group as well, I think if Lamar Jackson can improve as a passer, get back to, being that 35 plus, if not 40 plus passing type of touchdown guy, with what he does as a rusher, he could be the first 4,000, 1,000 guy. And I don't think that's a huge stretch given that he's already been the first 3,000, 1,000 guy. So back-to-back seasons of 1,000 yards rushing, it's hard to overlook that as a quarterback.
Sleepers, breakouts, busts. Give me a sleeper.
A sleeper for me would be Trevor Lawrence. I think you look at where he's going in drafts, late round pick. He does have number one QB1 upside, not number one QB upside. He could be a top 10 quarterback this year. I like the receiving core. I like the setup where they're probably going to be chasing points. I like Travis Etienne as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I like that he's underrated as a rusher. 900 rushing yards in his college career. I don't think that's something you should overlook for him. So if I miss on one of those top 10, top 12 caliber guys, based on the fact that he's going to be drafted outside the top 12, I'd be fine with him as my starting quarterback this year.
All right, breakout.
I think Jalen Hurts has top 5 potential. You take the 3 games that he started and completed, do that over a 16-game span, to play that fun game of extrapolating points, would have been a 4,000, 1,000 guy. So I like the offensive line being better. I like Devontae Smith helping this receiving core. But his rushing ability is what's going to separate him from other guys. And if he can be a 1,000-yard rusher for where you're drafting him, depending on the ADP that you look at, he could be outside the top 12, which he is for the CBS Sports ADP as of now. But he's a low-end, guy in terms of where low-end number one guy in terms of most ADPs where you can draft him. And again, I'm always looking for upside at this position. So for a mid to late round pick, I think Jalen Hurts has huge potential and could be a top 5 quarterback based on his rushing ability.
And finally, a quarterback bust.
It just feels like Aaron Rodgers, and I know it's a better situation for him that he came to camp on time and, got one of his buddies around Randall Cobb and hoping to get Devontae Adams paid. So he'll still be good. But some offensive line concerns. They lose their center. The left tackle and David Bakhtiari could be less than 100% to open the season. I don't really love taking the number one quarterback year over year. Now, it's different because Mahomes was drafted as the first quarterback. Lamar Jackson was drafted as the first quarterback after their respective top finishes. But Rodgers, to me, feels like he's going to fall back to the pack into the group of Tannehill and Brady and those other guys. And I'd rather just take those other guys because I think they're going to be slightly better.
All right, that's Jamie Eisenberg. I'm Adam Aizer, and that is your quarterback preview. We went a little bit deeper than that on the full-length show, so make sure you check that out. We'll have our tight end preview for tomorrow for you on Fantasy Football Today in 5.